Hi, today we're going to be reading the book, If the World Were a Village, a book about the world's people, written by David J. Smith. This book is nonfiction, and remember, nonfiction stories or nonfiction writers write factual information about topics that they are curious about. So as we're reading this book, I'm going to ask you to do some thinking. I'm going to ask you to think about how the author of this book presented his nonfiction information. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If the world were a village. Welcome to the global village. Earth is a crowded place, and it is getting more crowded all the time. As of mid-2017, the world's population was around 7,500,000,000 people. 34 countries have more than 40 million people in it. 13 countries have more than 100 million people. China has over 1,400,000,000, while India has more than 1,300,000,000 people. Numbers this big are hard to understand, but what if we imagine the whole population of the world as a village of just 100 people? In this imaginary village, each person would represent 75 million people from the real world. 100 people would fit nicely into a small village. By learning about the villagers, who they are, and how they live, perhaps we can find out more about our neighbors in the real world and the problems our planet may face in the future. Ready to enter the global village? Go down into the valley and walk through the gates. Dawn is chasing away the night shadows. The smell of wood smoke hangs in the air. A baby awakes and cries. Come and meet the people of the global village. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit here, and we're going to see what food might look like in a global village. Food. The smells and sounds of the market draw you near. The tables are piled with fresh baked bread, vegetables, tofu, and rice. Chickens cluck and ducks quack. In a pen not far away, a cow moos at the passing crowd. The villagers have many animals. They help to produce food or are a source of food. They are 31 sheep and goats, 23 cows, bulls, and oxen, 28 pigs, 3 camels, 2 horses, 2,100 chickens. Though nobody knows for sure, there are about 21 times as many chickens as people in the global village. Besides the animals, there's other food in the global village: wheat and other grains, rice, beans, vegetables, and much more. All in all, there is no shortage of food. If all the food were divided equally, everyone would have enough to eat. But the food isn't divided equally. So although there is enough food to feed the villagers, not everyone is well fed. So remember, in our village, we're talking about 100 people. So in this group of 100 people, 33 people in the village do not have a reliable source of food and are hungry some or all of the time. 11 people out of that 100 are severely undernourished, and they're always hungry. So, 44 total people in our village out of 100 do not have what we call food security. They cannot always be sure that they're going to have enough to eat. The other 56 people in the village are what we call food secure. They have enough food to survive and even to thrive. Air and water. In most of the village, the air is healthy and the water is clean, but not all villagers are so fortunate. For some, the air and water are soured by pollution, putting them at risk for diseases. Or water may be in short supply. Instead of turning on a tap, some villagers must walk long distances to find clean water. Fresh air and drinkable water are necessities. How many people in the village of 100 have clean air and a nearby source of clean water? So take a look. In our village of 100, 88 people would have access to a source of safe water either in their homes or within a short distance. The other 12 do not and must spend a large part of each day simply getting safe water. Most of the work of collecting water is done by women and girls. 69 people have access to adequate sanitation. They have public or household sewage disposal, while 31 people do not. They are at risk for diseases caused by poor sanitation, such as parasite infections, dysentery, cholera, and typhoid. 12 people breathe clean air, while 88 people breathe air that is unhealthy because of pollution. School and work. A bell calls the young people of the village to school, but for some children, there is no school to go to, or they must work to help their family. How many people in the village of 100 go to school, and how many go to work? There are 36 school-aged villagers, ages 5 to 24, but only 30 of them attend school. There is one teacher for those students. The other 6 village children who could be in school are working instead. 3 of them work around the house or for their family on farms and small businesses. The remaining 3 are child laborers. They work in fields, factories, and mines, sell things on the streets, and may even serve as child soldiers. Because not everyone in the village has gone to school, not everyone can read and write. In fact, of the people old enough to read, 16 of them are illiterate, which means they can't read at all. More males are taught to read than females. There are 63 adults in the village who could have jobs, but only 52 of them are working. 6 people who want to work can't find jobs, while another 5 are in school. There are also another 6 people who are retired who do not wish to work or who cannot work. Money and possessions. In one part of the village, someone buys a new car. In another, a man repairs the family's bicycle, their most valued possession. How much money do people in the global village have? If all of the money in the village were divided equally, each person would have about $32,133 US per year. But in the global village, money isn't divided equally. The richest 10 people have nearly 85% of the world's wealth. Each has more than $273,133 a year. The poorest 10 people each have less than $2 a day. The other 80 people have something in between. Half of the people in the village average about $6 a day. The average cost of food and shelter and other necessities in the village is more than $5,000 per year. Many people don't have enough money to meet these basic needs. In fact, 11 villagers live on less than $2 per day. What possessions do the villagers have? In the village, there are 95 radios, 79 televisions, 120 telephones, and of those 120, about 100 of those telephones are actually cell phones, and 51 computers. There are also 2 trucks, 18 automobiles, and 22 bicycles. Energy. Dusk arrives, then darkness. In many homes, electric light spills out into the streets. In others, the dark is kept away with candles, oil, lamps, and lanterns. How many people in the village of 100 have electricity? 85 have electricity, but 15 do not. Of the 85 who have electricity, most use it only for light at night, but some of the villagers have other energy needs. They need energy to manufacture and transport goods and themselves, and for other uses at home and work. Long ago, wood was the number 1 energy source for the global village, but today there's other sources. 80% of the village's energy comes from fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas that have to be pumped or mined from underground. 11% comes from nuclear power. 9% comes from renewable sources such as water and wind. Health. In 1850, a newborn in the village was only expected to live to age 38. By 1900, the life expectancy was 47. Today, a newborn can expect to live to 68, but that's just an average. Some of the villagers will live much longer, while others will have their life shortened by diseases, malnutrition, accidents, or lack of sanitation and health care. One big problem in the global village is malaria. About 41 people live in areas where malaria is found, and 6 people in the village contract malaria each year. There are hopeful signs. For example, immunizations to prevent diseases are becoming more common. About 80% of the people in the village, about 80 people in the village have received vaccinations against diphtheria, tetanus, and measles. Thanks to those vaccinations, they will have a chance at a longer, healthier life. It's a lot of information to take in about the World Village. I want you to stop and do some thinking here. What did you find out about the world and the people in the world just from this reading?